All right, so we'll get going. So nice to see some new faces here as well. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ian Grant. I'm the Executive Director of the Entrepreneurship Center, known as the E-Center. Really excited today. So I come from a sales background, basically my entire career. And even here, to the extent that I'm raising money, is always selling. So sales is near and dear, and I would argue is probably one of the most important skills to have when you're thinking about your own idea, if that idea moves forward into a venture, if you're trying to raise money. It's all about sales, and sometimes harder because you're trying to get someone to buy a product that might not necessarily even exist yet, and how do you go through that process? Equally important is that, in my experience, people buy people. So how do you sell yourself? So regardless if you have a startup idea, whether you want to sell yourself going forward in a job interview, whatever, I don't completely take all of James' thunder, but that's the world that we live in. So today I'm really excited to have James McElroy presenting and doing this boot camp. And like a lot of our boot camps, it's not just talking, it's going to be some interactive aspects to it. So James actually is a double UNH grad, undergrad and MBA, lecturer, leader of UNH's sales club, and then the professional, I forget.
So I'm the director of the Sales Center.
Sales Center, sorry. Just about as old as the E-Center, and just amazing seeing from the outside success, national competitions, regional competitions, just has had a significant impact on UNH and through Paul College as well. James was a consultant for firms in growth in Europe, was at Cabletron doing solution sell, which is a really hard sell, sort of that technology and sales combining. And then at the break, if you want to ask him about his ability to drive an RV and rugby, feel free to talk to him about that. So with no further ado, I introduce James. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it. Yeah. No, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. And, we do a lot of selling yourself and specifically kind of gear it towards interviewing. But in reflecting on it and chatting with Ian, so many of the fundamentals are the same, whether you're selling an idea, you're looking to sell your company or to get investment, are very similar. So I wanted to, if I could, start out with just an introduction of the Sales Center real quick. And this is our sales tree. Yeah, I love the tree. So the Sales Center has been around for about a year and a half. The way that most people get involved in sales here at UNH is, through the roots, right? An intro to sales class or the sales club. The sales club meets Tuesday nights about 5 or 6 times a semester. And the only barrier to entry is you going on Wildcat saying, I'd like to be in the sales club. Okay. That's also a great way to just stay informed of all the things that go on here. The intro class is a marketing, $559 for non-Paul students and $759 for Paul students. And that's really a good way to get exposure. And then for the students that learn about it and say, hey, I'd like to go further, there's really 2 main options, right, as you move up the trunk. One, on the academic side, we now have a sales minor, which is open to all undergrad students, regardless of your college. It's not just for business. And then organizationally, there's the professional sales group, which is an elite group of students. You've probably heard of Atkins or Rhines, same thing except for sales. So we train, host, and compete in sales competitions. We go nationally to Georgia and Florida and New Jersey and Rhode Island, not too far. As well as with our top partners, we actually go. So this Friday we'll be getting on a bus at 7:15, like we're a rugby club or a lacrosse team, and driving down to 111 Huntington Street, going up to the 20th floor at the Prudential Center and doing a sales competition with this company called BitSite, who's one of our key sponsors. We actually have 6 people going there full time for entry-level sales roles and 1 intern. He's sitting right here, Matt Benoit, as you might know him. And so what those types of experiences do is you get exposed to a company, an industry, a role, and you get to actually see it in action. Usually there's a tour or some shadowing that goes on, as well as they get to see you in action. Because we're role-playing as a sales rep for that company, and the case is created with our students and with the company ahead of time We do training. So we meet twice a week, 12:40 to 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays to do all that preparation. So that's a professional sales group. And the student leadership for both the sales club and the professional sales group reside in the professional sales group. So that's a 2-credit class. You can take it up to 6 times. I should mention the sales club, we meet 5 or 6 times. Speakers come in, share their story, their journey into sales, talk about their company and the roles that they have in their industry. We get pizza. We're not up to the standards of
It's a special event.
yeah, sushi, right? But you do get pizza there, and that's just another good way to get exposure to more companies and industries. And here's really the outcomes that our students are getting as well. Professional networking, you're building it, you're getting cards, linking in with people, you're understanding from a lot of different companies where potential jobs could be or people that could help you understand an industry. And introduce you to people. The skills and experience, we're really focused on role play, on interviewing. We have a speed sell competition, so what we're about to go through tonight is could prepare you for that next September. And those are some of the big key main events that are open to any undergrad at UNH. Most of them that end up coming are from a class or the sales club or in the professional sales group. We have over 200 students now, or seats in sales classes, each year, and that'll go up again next year because we are adding a CRM class, a hands-on Salesforce course. So I can talk about this all night, so I should move on, but I just want to at least let you know about that. Dana Osteen is our VP of Student Outreach. If you have any questions about anything that we just talked through, Matt, who many of you might know, is in the professional sales group. You can speak to his experiences. My card's right there, and I'll move on. So real quick, show of hands, who's in the business school? Okay. I should have said who's not in the business school. Okay, we got a couple. And which ones?
Computer science.
Okay, computer science. Engineering. Which options? Environmental, okay, good. From back there, had someone? Yeah. Public policy, okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, so how many freshmen? A couple sophomores, okay, juniors, seniors, and grad students. Okay, great. I like to just at least understand who the audience is, right? I don't get visibility into that ahead of time. Okay, so the you'll learn here, right? We'll touch on why perspective, purpose, preparation and practice is so important in selling yourself or selling your idea. Go through a real simple process and some techniques and some frameworks for how to do that. And in terms of the actual agenda, so I'll go through some of the content, show you a couple of videos, then we'll all discuss it together. And then you'll break out and first individually brainstorm, come up with an outline for yourself, then get with a partner, talk it through. You're going to deliver your 90-second pitch, get some feedback from them and notes, improve it as you want, discuss it, and then we'll practice. We call the blue-white exercise. I don't know, can we mess up the room, or we can figure it out even if we don't? Okay, yeah. We'll set it up then, and that's when we'll actually practice and get iterative. Because it's just like anything else, it's the reps that get you better, and with the intention of improving. The same thing goes in selling whatever it is, right? If you're Mothers for America and you want people to not drunk drive, you're selling, right? You want people to come donate blood, you're selling. It doesn't matter if it's for profit or not for profit. Sales and the skills of sales are, arguably everywhere at this point. So it can help you regardless. And certainly from an entrepreneurship perspective, you're selling employees on why to come to your company, why they should take under market wages at times, and why you think that these shares that are worthless are going to be worth something in the future, right? You're selling them on that idea. It's the same type of thing. Okay. So let me go through any questions. to our agenda? One? No? So it's going to be certainly participatory for you. Okay. So, and this comes up a lot, I think, in the world, and it's no different in selling, right? A current state and some rosy future state that's not yet in existence, right? You're making little promises. You're describing to them what's going to happen in the future, whether it's you won't get in a car accident or you won't ruin your life, or whether it's if you buy my product, you're going to get promoted, or you're going to save money, or if you invest in me, I'm going to give you that 40% return you're looking for, right? So you've got to think about your current state, where you are now, and your future state. Okay, so the current state. Two key elements. First, unique attributes. So what do you want them to remember about you, your idea, your company, whatever it is? Okay, so my description here is a little less specific because it's not just selling yourself. You get to insert whatever it is you want to sell that's going to help you this semester in a class for your company you might be starting or working at, or to prepare for your internship. So something unique. What do you want people to remember about your conversation, right? This is, the scenario is you walk into the elevator or you're at a networking event and you go up and you say, oh, hi, who are you? And they say, oh, I'm an outcomes, the perfect person that you want to talk to get hired, or I'm the person who invests in SaaS companies. And you're like, whoa, this is the person I want to be speaking with. And they say, tell me something about yourself. Oh, you're starting a company? Tell me something about that, right? This is your answer. This is the 90 seconds that follow that. And that's what you're going to work on tonight, is building one of those and then delivering it, okay? And it may or may not be realistic that you blurt out the whole 90 seconds at once. However, it's that practice and the thoughtful preparation ahead of time that's going to get you prepared to deliver it in the moment when you need to, okay? And when you probably hear all the stories about the entrepreneurs that got turned down 200 times or whatnot, they were getting better each time as they went through all of that, for sure. Okay, the other key component is evidence. Why should they believe you? Whatever you're telling them about what's going to happen, why believe you? Okay, and that evidence made up of your experience, facts, and impacts, right? Impacts you've had. So when we do this around interviewing and why you'd be great for this job, you look back and say, okay, what have I done, right? If you're doing it about a company, maybe you have some studies, maybe you've done market research, maybe you have some trials, or you have a personal story that leads into it as well, for why this is a problem, right? That's worthy of being solved. So it's by thinking about ahead of time, what are those unique attributes? So yeah, the two things. What do you want them to remember about you, your conversation, your pitch, and then what evidence do you have, right? So in the first stage, I'm going to ask you to just brainstorm on this, right? Now, what you're going to have to do first is, what's the future state you want, right? When we do this, typically it's, I want this job. And so first off, you're going to learn everything you want to know about that job and what's required and so on. So in an investment scenario, you want to understand what they value, how they typically invest, what they're looking for in an investment, so that you can cater your evidence, your attributes to what they value, right? Because this, I'll introduce, so purpose, what is it you want? That future state starts up here. First creation is in your mind about what you're going to describe, right? It's not, I want that investment because it'll make me rich, or I want that investment because then I don't have to find a regular job after school and I can start this company and it's really important to me and me. It's not about you. It's about them, okay? So what are you going to do for them? All right. And preparation, you don't want to wing it. If you do, you'll tend to come out as a list, right? Whether it's a list of your resume, you're just going to state everything as experience, facts, and impacts. And what you want to do, you want to have it in a narrative. So a speed sell, you're selling something, and you want to deliver it in a story or set of stories. Have you covered stories, Ian? Because I have a couple of slides, but...
Yeah, I do it again.
Okay. So I'll hit on it in a second after I finish going through this. After you think about what you want them to remember about you, right? What evidence you have that supports it, right? Supports those important attributes or those elements that you're looking for them to remember about you. Then you want to think about how you can get those across in telling a story, okay? And now what you have to answer about this future state for them as you're describing it, okay? And you typically want to relate all of that evidence into why you or your proposal is the right thing for their future state, okay? And what is the value to them? So meaning, you don't want to say, oh, I really think I'm a great fit for your job because, I'm a hard worker and it has good training and it's a good start to my career, right? What did they get out of that, right? Whose perspective are you talking from? Talking from your perspective. You want to talk about from their perspective. And this is the power in selling and in communication, is understanding what the other person's values and is looking for, right? So you probably heard about consultative selling and that you want to listen, you have two ears and one mouth. There's a reason for that. There's all types of data and evidence that show the most successful sales reps are listening at least 60% of the time, right? So think about it. Nowadays, there's technology everywhere. Every sales conversation in a lot of companies is recorded. So they've machine learning the crap out of that, and they're like, okay, we have 30,000 sales conversations. Let's look at what works and what doesn't work. And talking over the customer and blurting out all about your product and features does not work, okay? You need to ask thoughtful questions. People want to know that you feel them, you understand. I'm hitting this, sorry. They want to know that you care, that you're listening to them, and that you've understood them. Then they'll be willing to hear you, okay? Okay, yeah, and of course you have to describe that future state for them. That's what they're going to buy. That's your promises. And the believability is all based on the evidence and how well you describe it, how well your narrative fits. Any questions so far? No? Okay. It's easy. Okay. Let's see. What was I about to go back to when I said I'd finish this? Stories. Thank you. Okay. Let me jump to stories and why they work. So, literally, if you're explaining something to someone and you say, this is my GPA and this is how I do this, or, we have 4 widgets per second and this is this, and you're just listing facts and figures, there's about 4 parts of their brain that get activated and they're registering it and listening. Okay. You tell a story to them, it's like 14 different parts of their brain are getting activated. So tens of thousands of years of evolution aren't changing on a dime just because, we now have computers. Stories work and with people, and here's why. They totally command attention. They're connecting emotionally, and those other 10 parts, that's the emotional part in your brain. So the fact and figure parts, like check, 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 they don't retain as much then, but they retain a lot more about. You've probably heard the cliche, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. And so that's another way of saying stories work, and what emotions you draw up in your story and in your narrative can be effective. and more effective, make them remember you, make them have a greater affinity to you as well. And there's a synchronization, and I'll talk about framework and how that's important as well, but it's in part, you have a better attunement and synchronization with each other's brains as you're telling a story and they get into it, right? And they kind of lose themselves a bit. Information, I said it's more easily remembered. A story could be a whole different, storytelling could be a whole different one, but I'll just give you a couple of the basic frameworks. This one's pretty old, Freytag, and exposition, you kind of lay the groundwork of the context of the story. Then there's rising action. Something's happening, things are happening, it's building anticipation. And then there's some type of climax. There's usually challenges involved, a character, and then the falling action, and then denouement or some sort of new normal. There's some transformation or change. And you can see that you describing, here's where we are now. If you're selling a company, this is where the market is now, and this is why it's ripe for a company that can supply this, because it's going to be so much better off, right? You're telling that story, and you're showing that there could be a change or transformation and that they should invest. Another guy, Mike Adams, talks about sales stories and some of the key elements of it. You want a sequence of events that makes sense for people and have some framework that, it's funny because people enjoy a story that has a challenge or is some way unpredictable, but they want it delivered in a predictable way, right? That you can't just say, oh, this is the beginning, and then they lived happily ever after. They'd be like, that's why? Well, that's not a good story. You want it delivered in a way that they understand and that they can attune to with you, but something unpredictable has to happen in it, right? And then I was climbing the mountain, I broke my leg. Like, no way, you broke your leg, or got hit by a car. Whatever it is that, that some challenge or something unpredictable happens in the story. You need a character, and there has to be a point to your story, right? Okay, that's my quick side action on stories. Okay, so the narrative and the framework I just want to hit on. Just talked about they want a predictability in the structure or some sort of format. And some things these are some examples. There's no doubt many others, but some examples I've run into specifically in and around where we do speed sales for selling yourself. But you know what? I'm going to go instead. I'm going to show you an example, okay? And so this is a speed sell where they are selling themselves. It's a competition. They're selling themselves for an entry-level sales role. That's what I have. I don't have anyone pitching for a company, but I'm sure we could do that another time.
Hello. Here's my business card. My name is Haley Guyton, and I'm excited to share with you my college experience at Illinois State and how it has molded me into the professional, hardworking, and driven woman I am today. I am a senior at Illinois State University, graduating in May 2015 with a degree in marketing and a focus in professional sales. If you were to look at the sales program at Illinois State, you would see that we are a top-rated sales program where I am able to do real-life experience by doing role plays with top sales representatives and managers in our area. Along with this, I am on the captain of the Illinois State women's golf team, where I know the importance of dedication, time management, and leadership. I led my team to a Missouri Valley Championship title 2 years ago and plan to do it again this year with the goals I have set in place. While juggling the duties of a Division I athlete, I have been able to make apnea honor roll every semester at Illinois State, along with the Dean's List honor my junior year, and I was recently awarded the State Farm Good Neighbor Award, which goes to the student athlete who exhibits great leadership on and off the golf course. With that, I'm the Vice President of the Student Athlete Advisory Council, where I make it my priority to have student athletes' voices be heard, and also running the Student Athlete Talent Show, which is the largest fundraiser that the Redbirds put on. This summer, I did an internship with Northwestern Mutual as a college financial representative, which is a top 10 internship in the country. Here, I practiced running my own business by prospecting, phoning, setting appointments, fact-finding, and finding product solutions that could fit my clients' needs. I was able to sell many financial solutions this summer and was a top three actually, intern in my territory of 13 interns. I believe that this melting pot of all the experiences and qualities I have experienced at Illinois State makes me the perfect person to work for you.
All right. What'd you think?
There's a lot.
All right. Let's see. What is it? A keynote? Is that what I'm trying to hit
I
here?
think it's PowerPoint, the red one, the bottom.
Oh, got it. Thanks. Yep. Okay. So, what do you think? What did she do well? What are some things she did well, you thought? What did you like about it?
She hit on our resume.
She had evidence and experience, right? It was very much supporting it. I mean, it was roll, evidence, right? So it was almost reading her resume, not always the most effective way. What else? Yeah, she had some impact, not on everything, but certainly the top three intern, elements like that. So it's good to at least have all of those. What else? How did she? Did you feel like? What did she want them to remember about her?
She was prepared.
Okay.
Prepared.
Yeah. Right. So she listed a bunch of accomplishments, but if I was to say what is she, I think like she was busy. She listed a lot of different attributes throughout the different elements, but nothing at least came out that strong to me in terms of here's what I would remember about this person, right? And I don't know that her stories, if there really were any stories, was more of reading off and just kind of something that they probably could have learned by looking at her resume. There wasn't a whole lot that came out about her that's unique, right? And I should have harped on this earlier, but unique attributes. Tell students all the time, hardworking. I'm like, really? You're hardworking? Okay, you better tell me about the 20-hour days, 14 days in a row in Alaska you worked in a fishing boat. Because if you're hardworking because you're a waitress or waiters, like everybody says that, right? That's not unpredictable. That's not a different pattern, right? That's you just fall like, oh, I'm hardworking, I really want to succeed. Okay, you and everybody else we interview, what's something about you? What can I walk away from thinking about you? You and every other person that comes in here and wants an investment, what's different? And it's not about making it up. You're not trying to lie. You need to think about yourself and know yourself. You can't help people unless you can help and understand yourself first. So part of being a good salesperson or selling something is having the confidence in who you are and where you want to go, that future state, right? And then, man, it'll come right out. Okay, but think about some unique attributes. Anything else? I mean, she didn't really tell a story there, so there was no, narrative.
So when you went through the different ways of telling the story, just like with personal experience, is there one that's set up where you say what happens at the end and you pretty much get them to ask questions that kind of they build themselves up as you tell the story, and that's where you get to the end point?
I think that'd be a great framework to use. I haven't seen anyone use that in an interview, which is where I usually do the speed sell.
Like that's like the method I use, but I never thought of it that way. But I feel like in her 90-second pitch or whatever it was, it lacked the person who was interviewing her being able to ask questions.
That's right. Yeah, because this is the pitch part, right? At some point, and believe me, and from a sales perspective, asking good questions, listening, understanding, extremely important. We value that the most in our role play rubrics and everything. But at some point, there's going to be the tell me about yourself, tell me about your company, tell me about your idea, right? At some point, you've got to give, right? It's more like a tennis match. It goes back and forth. It can't always be, because you can go too far one way. If all you do is ask questions and they're like, where the hell are you headed to? Or why do you keep asking me questions when you want my investment? So at some point you've got to show your competency and show and sell them on this future state. But no, definitely questions are key. And I think you may be looking at a broader, longer term strategy. In some ways, you're not going to get an investment necessarily in a 90-second pitch. What you're going to get is them to go, hey, let's have you in. That's what you're looking for. Because in this world, certainly selling, it's just grabbing their attention. This is number one, why take a meeting with you versus the 200 other yous? I mean, I have students all the time. One student this semester, first night of class, hey, if anyone needs help in a job or internship, bang, he sends me an email. Resume, spreadsheet. First column, 17 companies listed. Second column, reached out, applied online. Yes. Next column, heard back. No. Yes, and they said no, right? It's how are you getting their attention? Applying online, it's very difficult. It can work. In my experience so far, these 2 years here, it doesn't work that often. And my guess is that's similar to trying to do a pitch or get an investor's attention. So if you happen to be in the moment, you're at the right event, there's some powerful UNH alumni here hobnobbing with all the eCenter kids, and they're like, oh, tell me about what you're working on at the eCenter. And they just happen to be, insurance industry SaaS, investor, and you're like, I have an idea for insurance industry SaaS. What are you going to say, right? And again, part of this is that purpose. You need to know where you're headed to then be able to share that with them. Okay. But I like that idea of working it backwards. If you can. I haven't thought through that one. All right, let's go to video 2. It's a different style.
Hi, Alicia Pace, Baylor University. Today there are 3 things that I would like you to remember me by using the acronym B. BEE, which stands for bright, ego-driven, and empathetic, all of which I found to be common themes throughout my research of what creates a great salesperson. And the word B stands for bright, and one way in which I exhibit that is that I strive for excellence academically, carrying a 3.72 GPA and having been Dean's listed for 4 semesters. And this word bright really focuses on my learning attitude and how willing I am to apply myself to get the goals that I am striving for. I'm always wanting to continue to learn. The second letter, E, stands for ego-driven, which to me means that I have a winning attitude. And an example of this is that I had the opportunity to compete and go to Hollywood for American Idol a couple of years ago. And leading up to actually going to California, there was this 3-month gap. And I spent that time cultivating my voice daily in order to get the results that I wanted to see. And even though I didn't make it to the finals, I saw more improvement in my voice during the season than I've ever experienced. So, in my opinion, I really don't look at it as a loss, and really I don't think that I can ever lose, because every time I miss the mark, I look at it as a learning opportunity, and therefore I'm always winning. The last letter, E, stands for empathetic, and during the summers I've served as a waitress at Sawgrass Steakhouse. My customer and figure out what their wants are, and then meet that want. And in this, I was able to receive the top 10% of customer surveys at my restaurant location. And I have here a letter of recommendation from my employer that expands upon my qualifications that I'd like to leave with you. And so in conclusion, I'd like to leave you with the confidence that I am a bright, ego-driven, empathetic individual, and I truly believe that the qualities that embody this B personality are crucial to the sales profession, and I look forward to implementing them into my personal sales career. And I'm curious and excited about this opportunity with your company specifically, and I'm curious to know what the next steps are within your interviewing process.
Okay. What did you like about that one? What was different?
Personality.
Anyone?
Personality.
Personality, enthusiasm, just how she did it, right? I mean, wow. Very different. What else? Yell it out.
Creative. Okay.
Creative, okay.
In what way?
In what way?
The way we were elaborating on the story earlier, she did tell the story.
Right.
Right.
And she also gave numbers as well.
Yeah. Her.
Yeah, her evidence, experience, and facts were tied in with a narrative. It had the acronym that was sort of the framework. You know, it spoke directly to what she wanted them to remember, right? B. And if nothing else, they're gonna be like, oh, that B girl, remember her? You know, she seemed really good. You know, because that's probably all they're gonna remember if they interview 10 people that day or whatnot. Okay, and all right, one thing, and I realize now I didn't put on any of the slides, but it's just ridiculously important for in any time you're pitching or whatnot. She closed. She closed. What are the next steps? How do I get an interview? How could I, come in and for an investment meeting? Whatever it is that next step is, you've got to ask for it, right? That's called closing. Closing is not manipulation. It's not sleazy. It's you know where you want to go. You believe you can help them and that they're going to get value out of this joined future state together. You believe that? You should be happy to close them. And if they don't want to close or if they have hesitations, you deal with it, you talk through that, and then you move on, right? Maybe you'll work together, maybe you won't. Big part is just believing that you can, right? Believing that it's the right thing. And if they're not the right people for you, fine, but hey, together, let's find out. So when should I come in and share with your investment committee how our company, could fit in your portfolio, right? Whatnot. When could we start the interview process for this job? Okay. Anything else about her version? Struck someone, yeah.
She had a card, so she was giving like visuals of like what you guys had. I thought that was
Yeah.
Her demo game was dope. Lit. I'll go lit. Yeah. I know. Let's get this bread. I'm gonna use all my 20-year-old acronyms. My oldest is only 16, but I get some from her, but I get most of them from these guys. Yeah, I used to say, get the bread. And they were always like, no, it has to be this bread. I'm like, oh, okay, let's get this bread. Yeah. All right, what else? How about unpredictable? What was maybe unpredictable? What didn't fit into the pattern of a normal cadence? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'd say that would be a positive. It might be unpredictable because not everybody does it. The other demo, the other evidence was, oh wait, I have a reference letter for you that proves it, right? So her evidence was there. She did tell in stories. What else?
It's almost expected an interview without a recommendation letter.
I don't know. I've never done it. Although, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the other person didn't do it. That's why they got third place. Unpredictable though. What was her second? Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely unique.
And what happened?
And what happened? What'd she do with that story? Right. Huh. Totally didn't win. But guess what? Here's what and I'm still happy, and I'm still. So what does that do? She didn't have to say, I don't dwell on losses. That right? She showed it. She told the story, and now they're walking away going, she's not going to give up after every time that someone hangs up on her, right? She's not going to give up after that first or second investment meeting, or if they have to make a fifth pivot on their product, right? She's going to see it through. And because of the story, not because she said, I see things through, right? She didn't tell them that. She showed them through a story. And what was the second letter in the B acronym for? Ego-driven. Empathetic's the third one. Ego-driven. Who walks around and goes, I got a big ego, I'm ego-driven. Is that something that you normally do? No. The first time I heard that, I was like, ego-driven, where's she going with this? Right? And then flips it on its head. It's like, I'm okay with being ego-driven. right? And then she kind of turned that into more achievement. Again, took it into a positive. So by doing that, one, catch their attention, and two, they're thinking, hey, she could handle things like that come unexpected, or take a maybe something that some people don't like about our product and show why they could fairly consider it a positive. Yes, we are a smaller company, and that's why you're going to get more attention than if you went with our larger competitor, right? Or, yes, we are a larger company, and you can trust that we'll be here 3 years from now, and you won't have to be ripping and replacing all of the technology because they got acquired or went out of business, right? So neither one's right or wrong. It just is how you're describing it, right? And it's not manipulation or bad. It's a certain perspective. Okay. Close. Yeah, that was good. All right, so the resume list, that's really what the first girl did. And I think she even did that not as well as you could. The 3 words or attributes, that's another kind of framework or structure you might want to use, right? And sometimes you may want to think about what are the 3 words I want them to remember, or how to remember me by. You may or may not say those 3 words. All right, let's see. Did you have to restart it every time?
No, it's
Okay.
airplays.
That's okay.
Die out.
Yeah.
So it might just be the context of these 2 interviews, but if I were to interview seeing these 2 girls, it would almost feel like it was too prepared, like too. It's to me like an interview is sort of like a test.
That's right.
Where
That's right.
it's under pressure
Yeah.
and kind of.
Yeah. So realize this is a competition that has certain rules and so forth. This is not how it would go in real life, right? There'd be a little bit more give and take in that. There should be some more like, oh, that's interesting, tell me more. Or, oh, well, yeah, oh, I like that. And here's, oh, I used to play this. That's right, yeah. So I'm not talking about building rapport or anything else. This is a fake scenario, but the aspect of preparing and being able to do this will get you ready for when you're in the actual conversation. That may last 5 minutes, not 90 seconds, but you're still looking to get those elements across about you, right? So yeah, it's not going to be just a blip. You throw up everything, right then. But it is useful exercise, and it does help you prepare for, the real world situation. Yeah. Okay. Some others, yeah. So those 3 words or attributes. She said B, and she gave all 3 and then went down each one. You could also say, okay, these are the 3 I want them to remember about me, but you don't have to throw it in their face and say it. You could just tell those stories that come out and give them an impression about you, okay? So it doesn't have to be thrown straight out there. Repetition, this is good for executives. Tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them in any sort of executive presentation. Good one. Alternating between states. So let's see. Whoop. I'm going to go through all these. So yeah, the whole alternating between states. Anyone read or seen anything with Nancy Duarte? She's a current, famous, writes book, PhD, writes books on presentations and studies them and does all of her AI machine learning about here's how Martin Luther King did it and here's how, other famous, orators did it. And one of the things that she learned is that by alternating between kind of the bad and the good, or here's where we are now, but then we could be way up here, and then it's really bad now, but then we could be up here. That takes people on that emotional journey and brings that connection. So by alternating back and forth throughout, that's just another, I guess, theme or element that you could bake into how you do it, and seems to be effective, with people. You have to read a book to understand all of it. Okay, let me get back down there. I'm going. Yeah, the last one, one story. So there's another, I don't have the video for it, but another student that I saw deliver a speed sale that I thought was very effective. He used one story, so one narrative, and it was him and his friends climbing a mountain in Colorado. It was like a 15,000 foot mountain, so it wasn't it was no joke. But he used that and just telling that one story, and through that, he's talking about preparation and all the planning that went into it and attention to detail. He's talking about the grit and perseverance it took to keep going. And then the achievement and the get it done attitude of completing something and what it feels like after that. Right? So he told his story and then related it to what he was looking for, which is an entry-level sales role in this case. But through one narrative, he got those key points across based on what it takes to climb a mountain, right, in this case. So another kind of pointer or idea, you could incorporate metaphor. Always, an effective way to connect with people and to simplify any idea or concept that you're trying to get across into something they can understand or relate to. And be like, oh yeah, and I guess it's probably overused in the entrepreneurship world, but we're the Google of, or we're just like Uber for, they're trying to be like, oh yeah, oh that's great. They take all of that positive, success and energy and apply it to, the ant farm industry or whatever, that you're trying to work on. Okay. All right. Well, let's do it. So first step, does everybody have like notes or some type of electronics or notepad? And the idea here is, first thing, what's your future state? What do you want? So I didn't want to make it about everyone in an interview. I wanted to make it about whatever is going to be helpful for you in your life where you're at now, okay? So, a job, an investment, you want them to purchase something from, your product, whatnot. And don't forget, what does it sound like from their perspective, not just your perspective, okay? So if the future state is, I want this job, what that sounds like from their perspective is, we have someone who's crushing it, hitting quota, getting promoted in the next year, right? That's what they want to hear, who shows up on time and is energetic, willing to learn, adaptable, coachable, right? That type of thing. All right. What are the unique attributes you want them to remember about you, your product, whatever, your idea? And lastly, what evidence do you have, right? So what's some experience, facts, or impacts that have been made or you understand about your idea, your attributes, right? That's going to contribute to that future state. And then create or just pick a framework, right? So if it's a story, a structure, format for your narrative, and create an outline. So this is something, it's 90 seconds. You're not going to be able to talk for 5 minutes, right? It's pretty quick. I think the outline, you can kind of make the outline like that list, right? The first time, and then say, okay, is there a story I want to tell here, right? Because it may be an impact story. It may be, we helped a company, let's see, is anyone from uScheduler here? Okay, yeah. So like uScheduler has actual clients, so you could make, an example about, hey, here's how we help UNH. Or, I've had kids tell me literally, oh, because of this uSchedule thing, I can see all my scenarios. This is great, So, right there. What else? Okay. And then after you have that, and you create your outline, ask yourself these 3 questions, right? What's the value to them? Am I answering that as I'm talking to them? What's the value that they're going to get? And why should they pick me or my proposal or my company? Is that in there? Not something else, which most often is no action or a competitive action, whether it's hiring someone different or not hiring or being happy with their current scheduler. And then what does that future look like, right? You have to describe that future state, whatever it is, based on your purpose. Okay, so after you do that, and I'd say let's give it 10 minutes, 15 minutes, so maybe like 6:10. I'll check in. Then you just pair up, try it once or discuss it with another person, improve it, and then at say about 6:20 or so, we'll all get together. We'll practice together. Okay. Nobody has to come up in front of the whole group and do it unless you want to. But no, we'll do it all together. Half. It's called blue and white. So half of you will be the person sitting and going, okay, interesting. Just actively listen, and the other half will do your 90 seconds, right? You don't get interrupted. You get to deliver it. Kind of blow the whistle. In this case, I'll just yell, and then you get feedback for a minute, then move on to the next person, blow the whistle, you go again. Okay, so you deliver. We're just going to do it 3 times each. I find that's like the minimum you need to do to at least get something out of it and realize how your repetition and how your practice helps you deliver it more fluidly and get more comfortable. Okay. So that's how we'll spend the rest of the time. And then afterwards, I'd like to just talk about it and hear from you what it was like, what your learnings were, and so forth. So, first thing first, you've got to decide what you want to do. It's easy if it's okay, you're going for a job, but it could be anything, right? I tried to adapt it a little bit. Anything to add there? No? Makes sense? Okay. All right, is everybody ready? And if you need to take your notes with you, that's okay. By the third one, any chance you could help this one last time? By the third one, just try and not use them or not use them as much. Okay? Everybody ready? So the first 8 people up here in a chair don't have to go first. But everybody has to come up and come to the front of the class, front of the room. So, yeah. Think about it, if it was a little long or short. So now let's go for a minute of feedback. All right, how's everybody doing? Yeah? I mean, who feels more comfortable doing it now? Everybody should, hopefully. Maybe not. Who is like, oh my gosh, I never want to do that again? Anyone? No? It could happen. What's that? That's right. See, yeah, that's a lot of people like, oh, wait a minute, I can do this, or, it's not as bad as I thought, or, and I'm telling you, the more prepared you are and the more you practice a little bit, makes a huge difference, because you want to think, hey, when I only get a certain amount of time with someone, whether it's an interview or an investment pitch or whatever it is, you're going to leave an impression. If you don't prepare and wing it, you're going to leave an impression. May be good, may not, I don't know. I mean, what I always say about preparation, you think like the Navy SEALs don't prepare. Oh, they're experts. Why would they need to practice? That's all they do is practice. They drill every potential scenario, right? Plan the work the plan, right? It's not always going to go the way you think, but you're going to be that much better off and prepared. Tom Brady's my other favorite example. A guy practices ridiculous amounts, right? He's worried about his elbow, which, how far up it is, and, just so that in the situation, he's ready, because he only gets so many chances, right? So it's the same thing about how you want to present yourself and, your ideas, your pitch. So thanks all for coming out, and really appreciate you being there. Give yourselves a round of applause.